Nobody wakes up one day and suddenly realizes their partner has been cheating. It builds slowly, quietly, in ways so subtle you convince yourself you are imagining things. A shift in energy here, a change in routine there, a gut feeling you keep pushing down because you love them and you do not want to be that person, the paranoid, insecure, overthinking partner. So you say nothing. You ignore the feeling. You tell yourself everything is fine. And then one day, it is not fine, and you realize the signs were there the whole time. You just didn't know what you were looking at. Today, I'm going to show you the early warning signs of cheating that most people completely overlook until it's too late. Welcome to Women Files. I want to be clear about something before we get into this. These signs do not automatically mean your partner is cheating. Relationships go through seasons. People go through personal struggles. Life gets complicated. But here's what I know. When something is genuinely wrong in a relationship, there's almost always a trail, a pattern of small changes that individually seem meaningless, but together paint a very clear picture. The problem is, most people only see the picture when they look back, after everything has already fallen apart. This video is about teaching you to see the picture while it's forming, so you can make informed decisions about your relationship with your eyes open. Let's open the file. Sign number 1. They suddenly care more about their appearance. They suddenly care a lot more about how they look, and I want to be careful here because this one gets misread. People change their appearance for healthy reasons all the time. A new job, a confidence boost, a fresh start. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a sudden, unexplained shift in someone who was never particularly focused on their appearance before. He never cared about the gym, now he's going 5 times a week without involving you in the journey. She never bothered with new clothes, now she's shopping regularly for outfits she's not wearing around you. They start paying more attention to how they smell, how they dress, how they present themselves, but the effort doesn't feel like it's for you, because it's not. When someone begins to invest in their appearance for a new audience, an audience that's not their partner, they stop explaining the effort. They become vague about why. They get defensive if you notice. The question isn't whether they're taking care of themselves. The question is, who's the effort for, and why will they not tell you? Sign number 2. They guard their schedule. Their schedule suddenly becomes classified information. Think about how your relationship worked before. Did you know roughly where they were? Did they check in naturally, not because you demanded it, but because that's what people do when they're present in a relationship? Now think about now. They leave without saying where they're going. They come home later than expected, with explanations that feel rehearsed. They have new plans with people you've never met and never hear about again. Working late becomes a regular occurrence with no specific details. Lunch breaks that used to be predictable become mysteriously extended. Here's what makes this significant. People in happy, committed relationships share their lives naturally, not because they're required to, but because they want their partner to be part of their world. When someone starts keeping their world deliberately separate from you, when your questions are met with irritation or vague non-answers, that separation is intentional, and intentional separation always has a reason. Sign number 3. They pick fights over nothing. They start picking fights over things that never bothered them before. This one is painful because it feels like your fault. They're irritable, they're short-tempered. Small things set them off. You feel like you're walking on eggshells in your own relationship. And you start wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why are they so unhappy with me? But here's the truth. Sometimes unexplained irritability and manufactured conflict is a guilt management strategy. When someone is doing something wrong, when they're living a secret, the guilt can become suffocating. And one of the ways people manage that guilt is by creating distance, by making the relationship feel less good, by picking fights that give them a psychological justification for what they're doing. So they fight, not because you did anything wrong, but because they need the conflict to feel better about what they're doing. If the fighting feels sudden, disproportionate, and unexplained, pay attention to that. Sign number 4. They're physically present but emotionally gone. You're in the same room, you're having conversations, you're going through the motions of a relationship, but something fundamental is missing. They don't ask about your day the way they used to. They don't laugh at the same things. They're distracted during conversations, not just occasionally, but consistently. Intimacy feels mechanical or absent. The natural warmth and ease that used to exist between you has been replaced by something cooler, more careful, more managed. Psychologists call this emotional unavailability, and it happens when a person's emotional investment shifts. They only have so much emotional energy. When it starts going elsewhere, there is less of it for you. You can feel it, even if you can't name it. That feeling of reaching for someone who's technically there, but somehow unreachable, that's one of the most painful early signs of emotional betrayal, and it almost always precedes or accompanies physical betrayal. Sign number 5. A new name starts appearing in their life in ways it never did before. A new colleague, a friend from the gym, someone from a group they joined. At first, you hear the name once, then again, then in different contexts. This person seems to come up naturally in conversations, then suddenly stops being mentioned at all. That sudden silence about someone they were talking about regularly is often more telling than the mentions themselves. They overcorrect. They realize they've been bringing this person up too much, and they stop completely, which in itself becomes suspicious if you're paying attention. People who are developing an emotional or physical connection with someone new find it difficult not to mention them. The person occupies their thoughts, and thoughts leak into conversations until they realize they're leaking, and they shut it off. That shutting off is its own kind of signal. Sign number 6. They become secretive about money. This one is often completely overlooked because people don't connect financial behavior to relationship behavior, but they're deeply connected. Unexplained cash withdrawals, new subscriptions they're vague about, dinner receipts for two on nights they said they were alone, money being spent in ways that don't match the explanation given. Affairs cost money, gifts cost money, dinners cost money. Hotel rooms cost money. When someone is investing financially in something they're hiding from you, the money trail exists, even when they try to hide it. This isn't about controlling your partner's finances. It's about noticing when financial behavior changes without explanation, especially when that change coincides with other signs on this list. And this is the one most people dismiss. Your gut keeps telling you something is wrong. You can't explain it logically, you don't have concrete proof, but something inside you has been quietly sounding an alarm for weeks, maybe months, and you keep silencing it because you love them, because you don't want to be wrong, because confronting it means your relationship might not be what you thought it was. But here's the truth. Human intuition is not random noise. It's your brain processing hundreds of small data points, micro-expressions, behavioral shifts, tonal changes, energy differences, faster than your conscious mind can articulate them. When your gut says something is wrong, it's usually already seen enough to form that conclusion. It's just waiting for your conscious mind to catch up. Your instincts are data. Don't dismiss them. Don't silence them. And don't apologize for having them. What to do with all of this? So you've noticed some of these signs, maybe one, maybe several. Here's what to do, straight from a woman's mouth. Number 1, document the patterns. Don't react to single incidents. Notice, observe, look for consistency. A pattern of behavior tells the truth. A single incident can have many explanations. Number 2, don't investigate secretly. Going through their phone, tracking their location without consent, reading their messages, even if you find something, the way you found it becomes part of the problem. It damages your own integrity in a situation where you're the one being wronged. Number 3, name what you're feeling, not what you think they're doing. What you're feeling. I've been feeling disconnected. I've noticed some changes that concern me. I need us to have an honest conversation. That approach gives them the chance to respond with truth, and their response will tell you everything. Number 4, trust what you see more than what you're told. Actions are data. Explanations can be manufactured. Behavior over time cannot be faked consistently. Watch the behavior. Number 5, prepare yourself for the truth. Whatever it turns out to be, you deserve to know it. You deserve to make decisions about your life based on reality, and you're strong enough to handle whatever that reality is. The most painful thing about being cheated on is not the betrayal itself, it's the looking back, the realizing the signs were there, the understanding that your gut was telling you the whole time and you talked yourself out of listening to it. So listen to it, not with paranoia, not with accusation, but with open eyes and the quiet confidence of someone who knows they deserve honesty. You're not paranoid for paying attention. You're not insecure for noticing changes. You're not wrong for trusting your instincts. That's what Women Files is here for. The